Donald Trump continues to fall deeper and deeper into cognitive decline, and it doesn't matter anymore if the mainstream media doesn't want to give it the attention it deserves, because Donald Trump is. It's like he's actively trying to show us the pudding leaking out of his brain, and he certainly did today at what was supposed to be an angry, rageful press conference about the failing blue cities of Portland and Chicago, but it just ended up being a little sleepy time fest for Donald Trump as his mouth was sagging. He was almost drooling on himself as he kind of dozed off into the night. We're going to get into declining Trump, but before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button because it goes a long way in supporting our work. Now, before we get to Trump taking a little time off, I want to see where he started this press conference with just some random spewing nonsense.
The amazing thing is you look at Portland and you see fires all over the place. You see fights and, I mean, just violence. It's just so crazy. And then you talk to the governor and she acts like everything is totally normal. There's nothing wrong. It's almost like, are you waking up from a dream or something? You see it on your network. You see it all over the place. And it's so bad. It's so crazy. It's like the movies you see for the kids, I guess not only the kids, adults also, where you have these bombed out cities and these bombed out people. It's like worse than that. I don't think they could make a movie as bad. And then the governor will get up and say, I don't know why they're coming here. It's such a wonderful place. And the amazing thing is the people want us to be there. The people, when they get the real people that live there, many of them have left, but the real people want us to be. The same thing in Chicago. So
there are bombed out kids and it's a bombed out city. What does anyone understand what he's saying? I know that like Kash Patel and Pam Bondi are sitting there like idiots. Kash Patel's like this the whole time. He's like, yes, dear leader. Can you see how it's like drying out my eyes? I don't know how Kash Patel is around like that all the time. Jesus. But like these guys are just yes men for a bumbling idiot. And honestly, they're kind of happy about it. Do you think Stephen Miller wants Donald Trump to be all there? Do you think Russ Vought does? No, because those are the guys who are running the White House. Trump is putting together Spotify playlists and like making the Rose Garden ugly, while Stephen Miller is carrying out the dream he had since high school when everyone had hated him. And he's like, oh, finally, I've been bald since I was 13 years old and now I can inflict maximum pain on my enemies, because that's what these ugly ghoul-like people are all about, is making people scared, making black and brown people in America scared. And Donald Trump will actively let you know that that is what they want to do. Listen to him here.
Nationwide, and they've attacked journalists reporting on their crimes. So the journalists that report on their crimes, don't worry, you're very safe. I hope that's not going to turn you around, but they have been very threatening to people, but we're going to be very threatening to them, far more threatening to them than they ever were with us, and that includes the people that fund them. Probably some of the people I know, some of the people I dine with. But if they do, they're in deep trouble. So we're going to be looking very strongly at the people that are funding these operations. When you see the signs, and they're all made out of a beautiful, beautiful paper, beautiful, nice, stiff, very expensive paper with beautiful wood handles, all the same color. They come from very expensive printing machines. These are not people that write out their signs in a basement that believe in something. These are paid anarchists.
They want to threaten all of us. Do you know why Donald Trump speaks in such vague terms when he talks about the they? It's not because he's a bumbling idiot. He is a bumbling idiot and he doesn't know who he's talking about. But Donald Trump has created a permission structure with his followers to go carry out political intimidation and political violence, which the right told us, oh, we can't do anymore and it's all the left. But it's really Donald Trump. And so he wants to say to them, all of these people, they're holding you down. They're going after you. So why not get out there on the street like they did on January 6th and start intimidating people and attacking people? And Jesse Waters himself said this, that there is self-deportation, was what Trump calls it, happening right now because people are afraid. Who? Black and brown people. That's who Donald Trump wants to be afraid. That's who he wants to not go outside. But it's tough to present as the tough guy when this is Trump right here. Just take a look at him. Falling asleep, the eyes are closing.
Just this year.
Let's listen to what's going on.
Just this year, it's always been
Trump is not
off. People, radical left-wing people.
And do you see his mouth? It's drooping down.
The shooting that happened.
Like, this is not a powerful man.
The defensive shooting that happened.
Really? That's like the strong, tough guy.
That
Let's
wasn't
watch a
someone
little
dressed
bit
in
more
black
again.
bloc. That was just somebody that
There you
had
go.
taken upon
The
left-wing
eyes are
people.
closing.
And it's not even just
this is
Antifa.
not a tough guy. This is not like macho strong. Like he is like, like he is falling asleep. I understand being a little bit of like a little bored in the press conference in which his goons are rambling about nothing, but he can't even just like sit with his back straight. His mouth was like leaking down. I think the guy had a stroke. Like honestly, they have covered up so much of Trump, and him like with the mouth drooping and the drool pooling and the eyes closing, getting heavy. It's like 4 o'clock and he's falling apart. And this is embarrassing, especially again when he's trying to present as tough in this press conference.
Pretty incredible. The only question nobody can answer is why. Why are they doing this? They're like insurrectionists. They're terrible people. But you really wonder why. Why are they doing it? What are they gaining other than they're obviously paid? They're paid a lot of money. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, spare me. I don't think it's insurrectionists in Chicago who are delivering DoorDash and like dressing up in the T-Rex costumes. The insurrectionists were in Washington on January 6th and you didn't give a fuck. So yeah, we're going to call you out. And someone else who did was Senator Chris Coons, who I got the chance to interview recently, talking about how we need to push back on this crime narrative that somehow Democrats are responsible and stop having this conversation on Republican terms. I think Senator Chris Coons made a great point that I want you to check out right here.
Senator, we saw earlier today Donald Trump announce that he is quite literally, in his own words, declaring war on Chicago, on LA, San Francisco, New York, and he said this to all of our generals, that Donald Trump is trying to politicize the military as much as possible. It's a show for him. You just came out of a hearing, making it very clear that Trump doesn't care about crime. This is all theater to him. How do we communicate that? How do we change the narrative? How do we change the terms that we're using, making this argument that the right doesn't really care about crime?
So first, I think when Americans see the National Guard patrolling the streets of Washington, D.C., but not particularly active, literally slouching, raking leaves, helping with mulch.
Sometimes they're picking up trash, and that's the one good thing.
That literally makes them question, well, what is the point of these highly trained, very expensive military troops being deployed into Washington, D.C.? As we just talked about in this hearing, those of us who were responsible for running cities or counties or states that are blue, I was responsible for Newcastle County, Delaware, know that violent crime has come steadily down over a number of years. Yet my home community had an effective grant for community violence prevention cut by the Trump administration. That's literally defunding the police. The Office of Justice Programs and the COPS program received budget cuts in the last year, which helps reduce our effective work in fighting crime. I think it's important that we say a couple of things. First, Democrats believe in fighting crime. We want safer communities. We want to push back on the scourge of fentanyl. We want to protect our cities and our states. The whole framing of this hearing was that somehow crime is surging in blue cities and not in red cities, or in blue states and not in red states. So to get back to your point about President Trump talking to generals, why on earth is he talking to active duty 3- and 4-star generals about declaring war on American cities? That's not serious when our most pressing national security threats are China, or the war in Ukraine, or the war in Gaza, and he is trying to refocus our military domestically, when that is demonstrably not their role in our system of constitutional liberty.
And it's just to soothe his ego, to make Hegseth look like he's not just a weekend Fox host. Not even a Fox host, a weekend Fox host. Trump said earlier that he doesn't actually care about the Nobel Prize because he wants it, get this, for our country. He thinks it would be a great honor for the country. But it's clearly all theatrics. I think you made the very important point. The Democrats have had success, very clearly measured, fighting crime and investing in communities. But too often, I feel like on issues that we may not feel like we exactly have public opinion on our side, we do this bit of preempting, this qualifying, where we say, okay, well, we do care about crime, and I know Republicans are talking about this, and in an attention economy where we need people to pay attention, we kind of do a little bit of preamble, a little bit of lead up. I think we should be getting rid of that. How do we make sure this message is actually cutting through, and we kind of don't just like apologize to Republicans before we state the truth about our successes?
Maybe I misunderstand your question. I spent a decade of my life helping the second largest government in Delaware fight crime effectively.
Yeah.
And then as a senator, working to help deliver federal law enforcement resources to reduce violent crime in my home. I will never apologize for my record of working hard on fighting crime and fighting fentanyl. And the idea that somehow because I'm from a blue state, I don't care about crime, I think is BS. A. B. I've been calling out Trump's cuts to law enforcement, to treatment, to care, to interdiction the whole time I've been here. So help me with what you mean by we are preemptively apologizing.
Sometimes I do see members of our party. I'm glad you're not, because I think we should stop on so many issues, feel like we have to justify or care or kind of speak in the terms that the right has dictated this conversation. You know, I feel like we've done this a lot when we're talking about border security. When we want to say, oh, well, this Republican supports this effort that we are moving forward with to fix our broken immigration system. And we feel like we kind of have to drag out like the bipartisanship to justify you don't need any approval except the numbers and the very clear success that you've had.
One of the things about my colleagues on judiciary, the folks who are sitting on either side of me, so Dick Blumenthal, Sheldon Whitehouse, Amy Klobuchar, all experienced, seasoned prosecutors, an attorney general, a U.S. attorney. These are folks who came to their service in the Senate with a real record of crime fighting. To your point, we've got a Secretary of Defense who calls himself a Secretary of War, who gathered hundreds of generals today to lecture them about a warrior ethos. Every one of them has actually commanded troops in combat. I mean, tragically, over 20 years of war in Iraq and Afghanistan, our senior officer corps has a huge amount of experience with combat. I think a lecture from Pete Hegseth about grooming and the warrior ethos, a guy who has spent more time changing what's on the website and the title of the department than really focused on actually delivering.
Don't forget about the makeup studio. That's an important investment.
I think the idea that he made all of our most senior generals gather from around the world at expense and risk so that he could lecture them about the warrior ethos is just ridiculous. I didn't realize that President Trump had taken that opportunity to tell them he was declaring war on American cities. Look, the American people are sick and tired of losing loved ones to fentanyl, and they want to see us work together to deliver positive results. In my home state, the numbers of fentanyl, of deaths due to fentanyl overdoses has come down significantly. That's not because of policies of the Trump administration. That's because of things that we were doing over the last 2 and 3 years. Some of those most effective programs got defunded through DOJ and through the Trump cuts. Trump's got a recent record of defunding effective community programs to fight crime and drug addiction. And one of the things I know it's hard for folks maybe to make this connection, but the so-called Big Beautiful Bill cuts Medicaid funding that funds drug treatment. It funds mental health treatment. It funds healthcare for millions of Americans. We're going to see a further loss in the progress we've made in combating addiction by those cuts. So, look, there's a lot of theater going on here in Washington broadly. I'm disappointed and upset to hear that President Trump took this opportunity to declare war on American cities that all happen to have Democratic mayors. But if you look at the numbers and you look at the record, Democrats have been successfully fighting crime at the city, county, state, and federal level for decades. And I'll stand by our record in my state and on this committee and in our nation.
And the theatrics don't stop there. I want to close here. Of course, we have a looming government shutdown right now. For anyone who's just now tuning in and is kind of getting like the J.D. Vance spin when he's saying like, oh, you want to spend money, and he's saying like healthcare for illegals. It's always the same nonsensical argument. What would you want someone who's just now tuning in, who's kind of, okay, the government's shutting down, what's going on, who's responsible? What is the one thing that you want someone who is just now paying attention to know about what's happening in Washington?
Democrats are fighting to reverse the harmful cuts to health care in our country. Healthcare insurance rates are about to go up by a lot. Most folks haven't seen that because it's happening next month. But what we're asking in our negotiations over this government shutdown is to not just do business as usual and keep going in the direction that's cutting healthcare, whether it's tens of billions of dollars cut from NIH or CDC, from child cancer research or from HIV/AIDS research. We want to restore that money. And there's an appropriations bill we've already passed through the Senate committee pass it, support it, Mr. President. A. B. They're going to impose big cost hikes on health insurance for all of us because the Affordable Care Act subsidies end this year. If they would just negotiate with us on reversing these harmful cuts to health care, we'd be willing to keep the government open. I want to keep the government open. I'm an appropriator. I want to deliver resources for my community, but I can't sit idly by as they keep cutting and cutting and cutting everything that matters to healthcare in my community.
Yeah, I was not sure that the art of the deal was failing to negotiate, but it seems like that's what it is. I appreciate you calling it out.
Thank you.
Senator,
Great spending some time with you. Appreciate you.
We cannot have this argument on their terms. We need to hit back. We're certainly going to on this show. If you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video. If you stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. And if you want to support the show in another way, you can subscribe to my Substack here or down below. Keep on fighting. Don't let them silence you. And until next time, I'll see you soon.